I went to pick up the wedding rings that Yu Chenju and I had custom ordered 6 months ago. However, the clerk pulled out 2 identical velvet boxes and asked me with a smile, "Mister, you ordered 2 of the same rings. May I ask, are you Miss Shen or Miss Chen?" Looking at the 2 rings, one engraved with my name and the other with Chen Luolu's, I let out a cold laugh on the spot. I turned around and dialed my father's number. "Dad, the wedding is off tonight. Make sure the Yu group disappears for good." I pushed open the door to the jewelry workshop's VIP room. The clerk immediately greeted me with a smile, carrying a custom solid wood tray. "Miss Shen, the wedding rings you and Mr. Yu ordered are ready." I nodded and sat on the sofa, reaching out for the velvet box on the tray. The clerk's hand faltered. Her smile turning slightly awkward, she reached under the counter and produced a second identical velvet box, placing it side by side on the tray. The 2 boxes were carbon copies down to the gold stamped logo. I looked up at her. The clerk's voice became more cautious. "Miss Shen, it's like this. Half a year ago, Mr. Yu ordered 2 identical top-tier diamond rings. The specs, style and engraving requirements were all submitted at the same time. May I ask, are you Miss Shen Yang or Miss Chen Luolu?" My finger stopped on the lid of the box. I didn't move. 2 rings. "Yes, Miss Shen, both were custom-made to wedding ring standards. Both have initials engraved inside. One is SYZZ and the other is CL Land YZZ." I reached out and opened both boxes. 2 diamond rings, identical styles, identical carats, even the diamond cuts were exactly the same. The one on the left was engraved with Shen Yan and Yu Chenju, the one on the right was engraved with Chen Luolu and Yu Chenju. Chen Luolu, the little sister Yu Chenju always talked about, the childhood friend who grew up with him, the one who was frail and needed his constant care, his white moonlight. We had been engaged for 3 months and he had told me countless times that Luolu was just a sister, that I shouldn't overthink it. Turns out, this sister gets the exact same wedding ring as me. I snapped the boxes shut and placed them back on the tray, my fingertips steady. Just then the door to the VIP room pushed open. Yu Chenju walked in, dressed in a high-end tailored suit. He was holding the hand of a woman in a white dress, Chen Luolu. When she saw me, her smile froze and she instinctively ducked behind Yu Chenju. Yu Chenju's brow furrowed, his eyes flashing with impatience. Yang, what are you doing here? Didn't I say I'd handle picking up the rings?" I looked up at him, a cold smirk playing on my lips. If I hadn't come, how would I have known that my fiancé ordered 2 wedding rings at once, one for me and one for his dear little sister? Chen Luolu's eyes instantly pooled with tears. She clutched Yu Chenju's arm, her voice trembling. "Brother Chenju, I'm so sorry, this is all my fault. I didn't know you ordered a ring for Miss Shen. Too, if I'd known, I never would have accepted it." "It's not your fault," Yu Chenju said, patting her hand soothingly. He turned to me, his tone turning icy. "Shen Yang, haven't you had enough? Luolu isn't well. It was her birthday recently, so I got her a ring as a gift. What's the big deal? Is this really worth such a scene?" "A birthday gift?" I laughed, pointing at the rings on the tray. "Yu Chenju, you call a wedding-style diamond ring engraved with both your initials a birthday gift? Do you take me for a fool?" "Shen Yang," Yu Chenju's voice rose sharply, heavy with warning. "Watch your tone. Luolu and I are perfectly innocent. Stop being so unreasonable. I gave you enough face by getting engaged to you. Don't throw it back in my face." I looked at him, suddenly finding the whole situation pathetic. We had been together for a year and engaged for 3 months. I had never mentioned my family background or who my father was to him. I was just a traditional artisan who ran a small workshop for restoring ancient weapons, someone with no background and no backing. He thought he could manipulate and humiliate me as he pleased. He thought I was nothing without him. I pulled out my phone and dialed my father right in front of him. He picked up on the first ring. Nan, didn't you go to get the rings? What time are you coming home for dinner?" I stared straight at Yu Chenju, speaking clearly into the phone. "Dad, the wedding is off tonight. Make the Yu group disappear entirely." There was a 2-second silence on the other end, followed by my father's blunt response. "Done, I'll have it arranged within 10 minutes. Anyone who dares bully my girl won't even get the chance to regret it." I hung up and put the phone back in my pocket. Yu Chenju suddenly burst out laughing, his face full of disdain. "Shen Yang, what are you acting for, making the Yu group disappear? Who do you think you are? You're just a glorified antique fixer. You really think you have that kind of power? I'm telling you, not even your whole family combined could lay a finger on my company." Chen Luolu added in a small voice. "Miss Shen, please don't be like this. Brother Chenju has already been so good to you. Don't be so ungrateful. I ignored them, grabbed my bag from the sofa, and headed straight for the door. As I passed Yu Chenju, I stopped and gave him a long look. Yu Chenju, remember this, you're the one who betrayed me first. From now on, everything you owe me, I will collect, bit by bit, with interest. I walked out of the VIP room, Yu Chenju's mocking voice trailing behind me. Shenyang, you'll regret this, nobody else will want you, you'll be back on your knees begging me sooner or later. I didn't look back. I walked out of the jewelry store and got into my car. The driver asked, "Where to, miss?" "The U Group headquarters." As the car started, I watched the city lights blur past the window, tapping my knee lightly. "Yu Chenju, you think I'm just a nameless artisan, you think your little fortune matters to me. For the betrayal and every insult you've thrown at me, I'll make you pay with the one thing you care about most. And the best part, you still have no idea who you've actually messed with." The car pulled up at the U Group's luxury headquarters. I pushed the door open and marched into the lobby. The receptionist immediately hurried over with a smile. "Miss Shen, hello, do you have an appointment?" "I'm here for Yu Chenju, I don't need an appointment." I bypassed her, stepped into the private executive elevator and hit the button for the top floor. When the doors opened, Yu Chenju's secretary tried to intercept me, looking flustered. "Miss Shen, Mr. Yu is in a meeting, you can't go in." I ignored her and threw open the office door. Inside, Yu Chenju was sitting in his high-back executive chair. Chen Luolu was perched on his lap, her arms wrapped around his neck, her head resting on his chest. They were whispering to each other, a scene of sickening intimacy. At the sound of the door, they both looked up. Chen Luolu scrambled off his lap in a panic. Hiding behind him with teary eyes, looking like a frightened rabbit, Yu Chenju's face darkened instantly as he slammed his hand on the desk. "Shenyang, who let you in? Get out." I shut the door behind me, walked up to the desk and leaned forward, staring him down. "Yu Chenju, I'm here to ask you, did you pull the plug on my workshop's partnerships? In the 20 minutes it took to get here, my assistant had called me 3 times. Every institution we worked with had unilaterally terminated their contracts, refused to refund our deposits, and was demanding liquidated damages. The person behind the shutdown was Yu Chenju." "I did." Yu Chenju leaned back, crossing his arms with an air of supreme arrogance. "Shenyang, I gave you a chance. Apologize to Luolu right now, admit you were wrong, and go home to prepare for the wedding. I can pretend none of this happened and restore those contracts. Apologize." I laughed. "Why should I apologize? The people who need to apologize are you and your dear little sister behind you." "Shenyang," Yu Chenju's voice went cold, "don't push your luck. You really think that pathetic workshop of yours can survive without me? I'm telling you, in the world of luxury heritage crafts, anyone who works with you is an enemy of Yu Chenju. Without me, your workshop will be bankrupt within a month." Chen Luolu peeked out from behind him, whispering, "Miss Shen, just admit you're wrong. Brother Chenju really loves you. Don't be so stubborn or you'll be the one suffering in the end." "Is it your turn to speak?" I shot her a freezing glare. "You're a third party interfering in an engagement. You aren't qualified to teach me anything." Chen Luolu's face went pale and tears began to fall. She tugged at Yu Chenju's sleeve. "Brother Chenju, look at her." "Shenyang, shut up." Yu Chenju stood up abruptly, shielding Chen Luolu and glaring at me. "I'm warning you, don't you dare bully Luolu or I'll make things very difficult for you." He turned and pulled a contract out of his desk drawer, slamming it onto the table in front of me. "Look for yourself. Your workshop had a cash flow crisis last month and owed 3 million for raw materials. Who do you think covered that?" "I did." "Shenyang, you're spending my money and living in a house I bought for you, and now you're throwing an attitude. Where do you get the nerve?" I looked down at the loan agreement on the desk. Last month, the workshop needed 3 million for Song Dynasty weapon restoration materials. I was at a heritage conference out of town and told my assistant to handle it. I hadn't realized the investor the assistant found was a shell company owned by Yu Chenju. He had set this trap long ago, just waiting for the day he could use it to control me. Yu Chenju's smugness deepened. "What, nothing to say? I'm telling you, this contract is in black and white, signed by you. If you dare break off the engagement, I'll sue you immediately for that 3 million. If you can't pay, I'll have the court seize your workshop and auction off those scraps of yours. You'll be penniless and lose your title as a heritage successor." He walked around the desk, grabbed my chin, and forced me to look at him, his tone dripping with condescending mercy. "Yang Yang, be a good girl, stop acting out, apologize to Luolu. Come back and marry me and I'll still love you. You won't have to pay back the 3 million and I'll keep your workshop afloat. How about it? I raised my hand and slapped his away with force. He stumbled back, staring at me in pure disbelief. I picked up the contract from the desk and, right before his eyes, ripped it to shreds. Page by page, the scraps of paper drifted through the air like confetti, littering the floor. Yu Chunzhou's eyes instantly turned bloodshot as he roared, "Shenyang, have you lost your mind? Yu Chenju, do you really think 3 million is enough to control me?" I looked at him, a cold sneer playing on my lips. "Did you think I couldn't survive without you? Let me tell you, this trump card of yours is nothing more than scrap paper to me." I pulled a bank card from my bag and flicked it onto the desk in front of him. 3 million plus interest, 3.12 million in total. It's all on this card. The PN is 6 zeros, everything you ever gave me. I'm returning piece by piece. That includes the house you bought. I'll have my lawyer send over the transfer documents tomorrow. Yu Chunzhou's face turned a sickly shade of grey, then flushed with rage. He never expected I'd be able to produce over $3 million just like that. I turned toward the door. "Yu Chenju, our engagement is officially over as of this moment, and mark my words, everything you've done to me today, I will pay back twofold. Shenyang, get back here," he bellowed behind me. "You'll regret this. I guarantee that within 3 days you'll come crawling back on your knees, and when you do, I won't even give you a second glance." I pulled the door open and glanced back one last time. Then let's wait and see who ends up begging whom. As the elevator doors slid shut, I took out my phone and called my assistant. "Check if the Yu Group has any major moves coming up, especially regarding their cross-border supply chain. Get me every scrap of data you can find." I stepped out of the Yu Group headquarters and into the sunlight. "Yu Chenju, you thought 3 million was your leverage. You thought killing a few partnerships would leave me with nowhere to run. How naive. This is just the beginning. I'll make you pay back what you owe me with your entire empire. You have no idea what kind of hell is coming for you." The next morning, I was jolted awake by a call from my assistant. "Ms. Shin, something's wrong. Look at the news. The internet is flooded with hit pieces against you. They're claiming you plagiarized intangible cultural heritage works, that you're a gold digger, and that your private life is a mess. Everyone is attacking you online." I hung up and opened Weibo. 3 of the top 10 trending topics were about me, all of them smears. #Shenyang plagiarism, #Shenyang marriage scam, #Shenyang's messy private life, I clicked through to find identical press releases accompanied by forged evidence. There were side-by-side comparisons of my award-winning ancient weapon restorations and works by some unknown craftsman claiming I'd stolen the designs. There were photos from my engagement to Yu Chenju with captions claiming I'd used underhanded tactics to marry into money. There were even maliciously cropped photos of me dining with male friends, framed to look like I was juggling multiple affairs. The accounts posting these were all marketing handles controlled by Yu Chenju. Even the Yu Group's official account had chimed in, liking the smear posts. The comment sections were a vitriolic mess. "So she's just a copycat. I actually thought her restoration work was impressive. Turns out she's just a thief, a marriage scammer. How disgusting. Mr. Yu is such a good man. I can't believe she played him like that. With a private life that messy. She still has the nerve to act all high and mighty. Kick her out of the heritage circle." I scrolled further and found a video of Yu Chenju giving a media interview. In the clip, he wore a sharp suit but looked haggard, his eyes weary. He spoke to the camera in a raspy voice. "Shenyang and I were together for a year, engaged for 3 months. I truly wanted a future with her. I invested in her studio and shared my resources, only to find out she'd been lying all along. Her work is plagiarized and she only approached me for my money. My heart is truly broken." He paused, adding, "As for the other rumors, I won't say more. I want to leave her with some shred of dignity. I hope she learns her lesson." With those few sentences, he had successfully dumped all the filth onto me. He painted himself as the devoted, betrayed victim and me as the parasitic, fraudulent villain. Below the video, the comments were overflowing with sympathy for him. "Poor Mr. Yu, how could he run into a woman like that? I feel for him. He needs to cut ties immediately. Miss Luo is the one who actually deserves him. I knew it. How could someone who fixes old scrap metal marry into a wealthy family without using dirty tricks?" Just as I set my phone down, it rang again. It was the head of the Intangible Cultural Heritage Association, Shenyang. We've seen the news, the fallout is too severe. The association has decided to suspend your status as a heritage successor and launch an internal investigation until the results are out. You are barred from participating in any events or partnerships under the association's name. As soon as that call ended, a dozen more came in, all former partners. Without exception, they wanted to terminate our contracts and were demanding massive penalties for breach of contract. My assistant called again, her voice cracking. Ms. Shen, the studio is surrounded by reporters. There are people outside shouting, throwing eggs. We can't even open the door. What do we do? I got dressed and grabbed my car keys. I'm heading over now. Driving toward the studio, I could see the chaos from a block away. Reporters were lugging cameras and shoving microphones toward the entrance. Protesters held signs that read "Copycats out of the Heritage Circle," pelting the door with eggs and rotten vegetables. The scene was a disaster. The moment I stepped out of my car, the crowd erupted. "It's Shenyang, she's here." Reporters swarmed me, shoving mics in my face while flashes blinded me. Ms. Shen, are the plagiarism allegations true? Did you really scam Mr. Yu? Was the engagement broken because he caught you stealing designs? Who is the real third party here? You or Chen Luolu? What do you have to say about your scandalous private life? I stood my ground, looking at the reporters and the jeering crowd without a hint of panic. I raised my hand for silence. The noise died down as every lens focused on me. "First," I said, my voice clear and steady, "I have never plagiarized. Every piece of work I've done is an original. Restoration, I have the full design manuscripts, heritage logs, and expert appraisal reports to prove it. Second, I am not a marriage scammer. Yu Chenju broke our engagement. I caught him ordering a custom wedding ring for his mistress, the exact same design as mine, and I called off the wedding on the spot. Third, every piece of dirt online was fabricated by Yu Chenju to maliciously smear my reputation." I paused, looking directly into the cameras with an iron gaze. "In 3 days at the National Heritage Cultural Exchange Summit, I will present the evidence that clears my name, and I will ensure that every person who slandered me pays the price." With that, I turned and walked into the studio, shutting the door on the noise and malice outside. My assistant was pacing frantically. "Ms. Shen, Yu Chenju is the lead sponsor for that summit. He'll definitely block us. We've lost all our partnerships and your credentials are suspended. How are we even going to get in?" I sat down and pulled up the invitation on my computer. It had been sent to me by the organizing committee 2 weeks ago, inviting me as an expert representative to give the keynote speech. Yu Chenju thought that by dragging my name through the mud, he could scare me away and bury me for good. He was wrong. The harder he tries to push me into the dirt, the higher I will stand to strike back. I looked at my assistant, my voice calm. "Why wouldn't we go? 3 days from now, the summit will be the beginning of his downfall." I opened an encrypted folder. Inside were files I had been preparing for a long time. Evidence of the Yu Group misappropriating the work of heritage craftsmen to mass-produce counterfeit luxury goods, and records of unpaid wages. "You want to humiliate me at the summit, Yu Chenju? Fine. I'll expose your filth in front of the national media and every giant in the industry. Let's see who ends up ruined." He had no idea that the gallows he was building for me would end up around his own neck. 3 days later, the National Heritage Cultural Exchange Summit opened at the International Convention Center. This was the most prestigious event in the industry, drawing top-tier successors, experts, and political and business elites. Over 100 media outlets were providing live coverage. I arrived in a modern, tailored Chinese-style suit, carrying a document folder. Reporters immediately swarmed the entrance. "Ms. Shen, you actually showed up. Can you really prove your innocence today? Does the association know you're here? Mr. Yu is inside. Are you ready to face him?" I ignored the questions and walked straight into the hall. The room was packed. In the center of the VIP section sat Yu Chenju, looking smug in a bespoke suit with a lead sponsor badge pinned to his lapel. Beside him sat Chen Luolu in a white gown. They were whispering to each other, occasionally glancing at the door, clearly waiting for me. When he saw me enter, a mocking smirk touched his lips. He raised his glass to me, his eyes full of disdain. He likely thought I was there to drop to my knees and beg for mercy. The entire room went quiet as eyes, filled with curiosity, contempt, or amusement, followed my every move to them. I was the disgraced woman who didn't belong in such a hallowed space. I ignored the stares and walked to the guest section. As I sat down, the heritage experts next to me immediately scooted away as if sitting near me would stain their reputations. Expressionless, I opened my folder and began laying out my documents on the table one by one. The summit officially began. The host took the stage, first introducing the distinguished guests, with a special emphasis on the summit's primary sponsor. Yu Chenju. Yu Chenju stepped up to the microphone and began his speech. He spoke passionately about his love for intangible cultural heritage, the Yu Group's support for its preservation, and his dream of bringing Chinese-style luxury to the global stage. His words were filled with apparent sincerity, drawing thunderous applause from the audience. Toward the end of his speech, his tone shifted. He looked in my direction and said heavily, "However, within our industry there are a few black sheep. Under the guise of cultural preservation, they plagiarize the works of others, deceive consumers, and even resort to marriage and financial fraud, tarnishing the reputation of our entire field. We have zero tolerance for such people and will ensure they are driven out of the industry." As soon as he finished, voices of agreement rose from the crowd. "Right, kick out the plagiarists. He's talking about Shenyang. Someone like her doesn't belong in this circle. Get out, don't stay here and pollute the air." Countless eyes fixed on me, sharp with malice. On stage, Yu Chenju watched me, the smirk on his face deepening, his eyes filled with the arrogance of a victor. He thought he had already nailed me to a pillar of shame, that I had come today only to be publicly humiliated. Just then the host held the microphone and said with a smile, "Next, please welcome our keynote speaker for this summit, National Intangible Cultural Heritage Expert in Ancient Weaponry Restoration, MS Shenyang." The room erupted in an instant uproar. No one expected the organizing committee to let me speak under such circumstances. The smile on Yu Chenju's face froze instantly as he looked at the host in utter disbelief. I stood up, straightened my suit, and walked toward the podium step by step under the gaze of the crowd, clutching my document folder. Standing before the microphone, I looked out at the massive crowd, then at Yu Chenju's ashen face and the panicked expression of Chen Luoluo beside him. I spoke. "Hello everyone, I am Shenyang. I didn't come here today to give a keynote speech. I am here to set the record straight and expose the truth." I signaled the staff to play the presentation I had prepared. Behind me, the large screen immediately displayed the work I was accused of plagiarizing. Page by page, it showed the complete design sketches, restoration logs, raw material procurement receipts, and appraisal reports from national-level experts. It was all laid out clearly for everyone to see. There are rumors online that I plagiarized someone else's work. Well, here is the entire creative process and all the evidence. This piece took me 8 months to restore. Every step is documented. Every detail is traceable. Whether it's plagiarism or not is now plain as day. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the screen in shock. Those who had been shouting insults moments ago suddenly shut their mouths. I paused, then continued. "As for the claims that I committed marriage and financial fraud, they are utterly baseless. The only reason I broke off my engagement with Mr. Yu Chenju is that he betrayed our commitment. While we were engaged, he commissioned an identical wedding ring for his so-called younger sister, MS Chen Luoluo, a fact I caught him in the act of." I raised my hand and the screen displayed photos of the 2 identical rings alongside the jewelry workshop's contract. Where Yu Chenju's signature was clearly visible, the crowd exploded. People turned to look at Yu Chenju, their eyes now full of contempt. Yu Chenju's face turned deathly pale. He stood there trembling, pointing at me and roaring, "You're lying, Shenyang, you forged that evidence, you're framing me." I ignored him and pressed on. "Mr. Yu Chenju, you claim to love our cultural heritage and support its practitioners. Then let me ask you, why does your company, Yu Luxury, consistently steal original designs from independent artisans to mass-produce knockoff luxury goods? You've made a fortune while failing to pay these artisans even a basic fee. Is this what you call support?" I signaled again, and the screen filled with a mountain of evidence. It showed side-by-side comparisons of Yu Luxury products and original artisan designs. They were identical. It showed records of artisans attempting to defend their rights only to be suppressed by the Yu Group, chat logs of the intimidation, bank records of unpaid wages for hundreds of artisans, and even an audio recording of Yu Chenju himself saying, "These artisans have no backing. If we copy them, we copy them. What can they possibly do?" Piece by piece, the truth was laid bare. Dead silence filled the hall for a few seconds, followed by a massive outcry. My God, is that the kind of person Yu Chenju really is? This is disgusting. He talks about supporting heritage while stealing from artists and stiffing them on pay, so all the dirt on her was faked by him. He's the real fraud. The thief is crying thief, how shameless. The reporters went wild, every lens turned toward Yu Chenju, flashes firing frantically as a swarm of microphones was shoved in his face. Mr. Yu, is what MS Shen said true? Did you really steal those designs? Mr. Yu, did you really cheat on your fiancée? What is your true relationship with MS Chen Luo? Mr. Yu, did you forge evidence to smear MS Shen just to cover up your own scandals? Yu Chenju stood there, face white as a sheet, shaking all over, unable to utter a single word. Chen Luo had long since shrunk away into a corner, head down, not daring to look at anyone. Standing on the podium, I watched the chaos below and Yu Chenju's pathetic state with cold eyes. Yu Chenju, you brought this on yourself. You wanted me to be humiliated and ruined in front of the whole country, so I'll let you taste what it feels like to have your reputation destroyed first. This is only the first slap in the face. Next I'm going to tear everything you own into pieces bit by bit. I turned and walked off the stage and out of the venue under the gaze of the crowd. Back in my car, my phone rang. It was my father. Sweetheart, well done. Yu Group stock has already started to tank today. Tell me if you need your dad to do anything. No need. Dad, I've got this, I said, a cold smile touching my lips as I looked out the window. I'm going to dismantle his empire with my own two hands. I hung up and called my assistant. Send me all the data on the Yu Group's Southeast Asian cross-border supply chain. I'm going to cut him off at the roots. Yu Chenju, you think this is over? No, this is just the beginning. The things you care about most are your company, your wealth, and your status, so I'll start with your core revenue stream and cut you down until you're bleeding out, and you have no idea that your downfall is already at your doorstep. After the summit, Yu Chenju became a total laughingstock in the industry. Hashtags like Yu Chenju the hypocrite and #Yu Luxury stolen designs shot to the top of the trending lists. Netizens who had previously attacked me turned their fury on him. Yu Luxury's physical stores faced massive boycotts, and sales plummeted off a cliff. Yu Chenju was in a frantic state, trying to delete posts while desperately preparing new inventory for the Qixi Festival megasale, hoping the new products would recoup his losses and stabilize the stock price. However, through the Zhonbei Group's global network, I knew his every move. Zhonbei Group's business covers global security, logistics and supply chain management. We have partners in every port in Southeast Asia. I knew exactly where his containers were coming from, which shipping lanes they were using, and what was inside them. Even better than he did, my assistant placed the compiled documents in front of me. MS Shen, here is the full documentation for Yu Chenju's Qixi sale inventory, 12 containers in total, valued at 300 million yuan. They departed from Bangkok and are due at the domestic bonded port in 3 days. We discovered that over half the goods are counterfeit, and there's a massive amount of undeclared luxury items, major tax evasion. We even found prohibited ivory products hidden in the container partitions. I flipped through the files, a cold smirk appearing on my face. Yu Chenju, you really are desperate. You'd even resort to smuggling contraband just to make a comeback. Since you're looking for a way to ruin yourself, I'll be happy to help. I picked up my phone and called the Customs Anti-Smuggling Bureau. I reported all the details of Yu Chenju's shipment, the routes, container numbers, evidence of tax evasion, and the contraband. After hanging up, I looked at my assistant. Let's go to the port and see Mr. Yu's big delivery. 3 hours later, we arrived at the bonded port. The harbor was packed with container ships. Yu Chenju's vessel had just docked, and customs patrol boats had already surrounded it. A dozen officers with K9 units were boarding for inspection. Not far away, Yu Chenju arrived with a group of people, looking pale and drenched in sweat. He froze the moment he saw the ship surrounded. His vice president was panicking beside him. Mr. Yu, what do we do? Why are they searching us? Our customs paperwork is all in order. Yu Chenju didn't say a word. He stared fixedly at the seized ship, his fists clenched so tight his knuckles were white. Just then a customs official walked over and handed Yu Chenju a seizure notice. Mr. Yu, we received a report that this shipment is involved in large-scale smuggling, tax evasion, and the transport of prohibited items. We are legally seizing these containers for a full investigation. Please cooperate with us. Yu Chenju took the notice, his hand trembling so much he dropped it. He looked up, his eyes bloodshot, and roared. Who reported me? Who was it? The official ignored him and returned to the containers. Yu Chenju stood there shaking, muttering to himself, "It's over, it's all over, 300 million in cargo gone." The Chishi sale was his last lifeline. With this shipment seized, he wouldn't just lose his investment, he'd have to pay massive breach of contract fees to brands and distributors. His capital chain was officially snapped. I watched his pathetic display from a distance and slowly walked over, hearing footsteps. He looked up. The moment he saw me, his eyes turned red like a rabid animal's. He lunged at me, trying to grab me. "Shenyang, it was you. You reported me, didn't you?" My bodyguards immediately stepped in to block him. I stood my ground and met his gaze with a cold smile. "It was me, Yu Chenju. You smuggled goods, evaded taxes, and carried contraband. You broke the law. Isn't it only right that your goods were seized?" "Are you crazy?" he screamed. "That shipment is worth 300 million. Do you hate me that much? Do you have to destroy me?" "Destroy you?" I laughed. "Yu Chenju, when you smeared me across the internet and tried to ruin my life and put me in prison, did you ever think about not destroying me? What I'm doing now is barely a fraction of what you tried to do to me." I raised my hand, and my lawyer stepped forward, handing a legal letter to Yu Chenju. "Mr. Yu Chenju, this is a formal notice of a commercial defamation lawsuit filed by my client Ms. Shenyang. You forged evidence to tarnish her reputation, causing significant damage. We are seeking 50 million yuan in damages. Please accept this letter and prepare your defense within 3 days." Yu Chenju looked at the letter, shaking with rage, and slapped it out of the lawyer's hand. "Shenyang, don't push it. I'm telling you, I won't let this go. Just you wait. I'll make you pay in blood." "I'll be waiting," I said, my eyes cold. "I'd like to see what you have left to make me pay with." I turned and left the port with my lawyer and assistant. In the car, my assistant was buzzing with excitement. "Ms. Shen, that was amazing. Yu Chenju is finished, losing 300 million plus a 50 million lawsuit. His finances are dead." I looked out the window in silence. It wasn't enough. What Yu Chenju owed me was far more than money. He didn't just betray me, he tried to erase my life's work and my future. This was just a light blow. I took out my phone and called the head of the legal department at Junbei Group. "Find everything you can on a woman named Chen Luoluo. I want everything from the day she was born until now, every bit of dirt, the more detailed the better." I hung up and leaned back, closing my eyes. "Yu Chenju, the only thing you care about besides money is your white moonlight. Chen Luoluo, right then. Next, I'll personally tear off her mask and show you exactly what kind of person you've been protecting. And you have no idea that the very person you're shielding will be the one to push you into the abyss." After the harbor incident, Yu Chenju found himself backed into a total dead end. His shipping containers were seized, 300 million went down the drain, and he was slapped with massive penalties for breach of contract. To top it off, the banks started calling in their loans, sending the Yu Group's stock price into a complete tailspin. While he was frantic and overwhelmed, Chen Luoluo got sick again. The internet was flooded with press releases claiming she had been triggered by my public humiliation, causing a relapse that landed her in a private hospital. They even claimed critical condition notices had been issued multiple times. Yu Chenju stayed by her side at the hospital every day and posted a long-winded essay online, throwing dirt on me once again. He called me cold-hearted for not letting go of a sick girl and demanded I apologize to her. In the comments, a crowd of clueless netizens started pitying Chen Luoluo and bashing me for being too ruthless. Looking at those press releases, I found it nothing short of hilarious. Chen Luoluo, playing the victim to milk sympathy. She really was a pro at this game. Unfortunately for her, she ran into me. I had already dug up her true identity. The legal department of Junbei Group sent me her full dossier. Chen Luoluo, born Chen Man, is 26 years old. 3 years ago, while working as an accountant for a foreign trade company, she used her position to embezzle 8 million from the owner and vanished. She's been on the police's wanted list ever since. She changed her name, got plastic surgery, and swapped her identity to hide by Yu Chenju's side, becoming the white moonlight he held in the palm of his hand. And Yu Chenju knew who she really was from the very beginning. He knew she was a fugitive, yet he harbored her, helped her hide, and provided her with protection. I looked at the warrant in my hand, a cold smirk playing on my lips. Chen Luoluo, Yu Chenju, you too love playing the victim. Don't you? Fine, I'll tear your masks to shreds right in front of the police. Armed with all the documentation and accompanied by officers, I went straight to the private hospital where Chen Luoluo was staying. Yu Chunzhou's bodyguards were stationed outside the VIP suite. Seeing me arrive with the police, they immediately blocked our path. Ms. Shun, mister, you said you aren't allowed in, please leave. I ignored him. The officer beside me flashed his ID and told the guard bluntly, we're from the Municipal Criminal Investigation Division. We are here to arrest the wanted fugitive Chen Man, also known as Chen Luoluo. Step aside. The bodyguard's face went pale instantly. He didn't dare block us further and stood aside obediently. I pushed the door open. Inside, the room was decorated like a princess's bedroom. Chen Luoluo was leaning against the bed with a face mask on, scrolling through short videos on her phone and laughing uncontrollably. Did she look even remotely like she was in critical condition? Yu Chenju was sitting by the bed peeling an apple for her, the two of them chatting and laughing in intimate bliss. At the sound of the door opening, they both looked up. Seeing me walk in with the police, the smile on Chen Luoluo's face froze. Terrified, she ripped off her mask, her face turning ghostly white as she scrambled under the covers. Trembling, Yu Chenju stood up immediately to shield her, his expression grim. Shenyang, what are you doing here now? I'm warning you, Luoluo is in poor health. Don't you dare trigger her. Get out of here with these people right now. I didn't answer. I stepped aside to let the officers forward. One of them produced the warrant, looked at the shaking heap under the covers and said sternly, Chen Man, we are from the Municipal Criminal Investigation Division. 3 years ago you were suspected of occupational embezzlement involving 8 million in corporate funds and were placed on a nationwide wanted list. We are now placing you under arrest according to the law. Come with us. Hearing those words, Chen Luoluo completely broke down. She shrieked, I'm not Chen Man. My name is Chen Luoluo. You have the wrong person. I'm not her. Chen Luoluo. The officer sneered, pulling out her identity file and the before and after photos of her surgery. You thought changing your name and your face would keep us from finding you. We've already verified your DNA. You are Chen Man. Stop the act and let's go. Yu Chenju protected her fiercely, shouting at the police. What are you doing? Luoluo isn't the person you're looking for. You've made a mistake. Get out now or I'll sue you. Yu Chenju, stop yelling. I said coldly. You knew from the start she was Chen Man, a fugitive. Not only did you fail to report it, but you helped her hide and provided her with shelter. Do you realize that your actions constitute harboring a criminal? You're looking at criminal charges yourself. Yu Chunzhou's face drained of color. He whipped his head around to look at me, his eyes full of disbelief. He never imagined I would actually uncover her true identity, let alone bring the police. Shenyang, you. He pointed at me, shaking with such rage he couldn't finish his sentence. Just then, Chen Luoluo suddenly lunged out from under the blankets. She pushed Yu Chenju aside and screamed at me hysterically, Shenyang, I have no grudge against you. Why are you doing this to me? If it weren't for you, I would have been with Chenju long ago. I'd be Mrs. Yu by now. You ruined everything. I ruined everything. I laughed. When you embezzled 8 million and ruined someone else's company, did you ever think this day would come? When you squeezed your way into my engagement and betrayed me with Yu Chenju, dragging my name through the mud, did you think this day would come? Your downfall today is your own doing. You have no one to blame but yourself. I won't accept this. Chen Luoluo's eyes were bloodshot. She turned to Yu Chenju and screamed, Yu Chenju, you said you'd protect me. You said no one would find me. The police are here for me. Save me. Tell them I'm not Chen Man. Yu Chenju stood there, face ashen, motionless and silent. He could barely save himself now. There was no way he was going to go down for a wanted criminal. Seeing his reaction, Chen Luoluo realized the truth instantly. A desperate, twisted smile spread across her face. Yu Chenju, you coward, you lied to me. You said you'd marry me. You said you'd protect me for life. She suddenly turned to the police like a woman possessed. Officers, I'm reporting him. I want to cooperate for a lighter sentence. Yu Chenju didn't just hide me. He's involved in smuggling, tax evasion, accounting fraud. I know every dirty thing he's done. I have proof. I'll tell you everything. Yu Chunzhou's face went white. He lunged forward, trying to cover her mouth. Are you insane? Shut up, shut your mouth. The police immediately intercepted him and slapped handcuffs on Chen Luoluo. Save it for the station. As they led her out, Chen Luoluo turned back to give him a venomous smile. Yu Chenju, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. Once she was gone, only Yu Chenju and I remained. He stood there trembling, looking like a walking corpse. He glared at me with pure hatred mixed with a sliver of despair. "Shenyang, what do you want? You sent Luoluo to jail, you got my cargo seized, you ruined my reputation, isn't that enough?" "Not even close," I said, my gaze icy. "Yu Chenju, you haven't even begun to pay back what you owe me. This is just the start. Next, I'm going to make sure you lose every single thing you own." I turned to leave. At the door I paused and looked back. "Oh, I forgot to tell you, now that Chen Luoluo is in, it's only a matter of time before she hands over all the evidence against you. You might want to start thinking about how you like your prison food." I walked out of the hospital and got into my car. The sunlight hit me, and my assistant looked at me with pure excitement. "Ms. Shin, that was so satisfying. The white moonlight is behind bars and she's already turning on Yu Chenju. He's finished." I looked out the window and said nothing. Yes, he was almost finished, but this wasn't the end. I didn't just want him disgraced or behind bars. I wanted the Yu empire he built with his own hands to bear the name Shin. I wanted him to watch helplessly as everything he cared about fell into my hands, and he had no idea that his company was already in my pocket. He wouldn't even get the chance to fight back. After her arrest, Chen Luoluo did exactly as I expected, to get a reduced sentence. She spilled everything she knew about Yu Chenju's illegal activities: smuggling, tax evasion, financial fraud, malicious prosecution. Every single charge came with proof. The police immediately launched a full-scale investigation into Yu Chenju and his group. Simultaneously, the banks announced they were calling in all loans. The Yu Group's capital chain snapped completely. Driven to a corner, Yu Chenju called a board meeting to force through a private placement of shares, hoping to raise enough cash from the stock market to save his skin and his CEO title. He thought this was his final lifeline. He didn't realize that I was the one who handed him that straw, and I was the one about to snap it. Through Zhenbei Group's capital department, I had already partnered with 3 top-tier domestic investment firms to set up massive short positions on the Yu Group. As soon as the stock price fell, we would make a killing, and Yu Chenju would lose even more. Furthermore, I held complete evidence of the Yu Group's financial fraud and inflated revenue over the past 3 years. This evidence had been provided to the police by Chen Luoluo and was simultaneously forwarded to the Securities Regulatory Commission. All I had to do was choose the perfect moment to make it public and deliver the killing blow. On the day the announcement for the private placement was released, I took all the evidence to the Regulatory Commission to file a formal report. From there, I went straight to the Shanghai Stock Exchange. The Yu Group stock resumed trading today. Yu Chenju assumed the news of the share placement would drive the price up and give him a second chance at life. I sat in the VIP room of the exchange, watching the ticker for the Yu Group on the big screen. At 9:30 a.m. the market opened. The stock opened 2% higher. Yu Chenju was likely sitting in his office right now, smug and convinced he was making a comeback. Right then, the Regulatory Commission's official website posted a notice. A formal investigation into the Yu Group for suspected financial fraud and disclosure violations was underway, accompanied by the full set of evidence I provided. The moment that hit the wires, the stock price on the screen took a vertical dive. In just 30 seconds, it hit the limit down price. The sell orders were frozen with over 1 million lots in the queue. In the VIP room, the head of the partner investment firm looked at the screen and smiled at me. "Beautifully done, CEO Shin. Yu Chenju is going to be completely blindsided by this." I watched the screen, showing the stock frozen at its lower limit, without any expression. This was only the beginning. For the next 3 days, the Yu Group stock opened at the limit down price instantly, leaving no opportunity for anyone to sell. In those 3 days, 6.2 billion in market value evaporated. The company's worth was cut in half. Yu Chenju's own shares were pledged to the bank as collateral. With the crash, he had triggered the margin call. The banks were ready to liquidate him at any moment. His equity was about to be worth nothing. The Yu Group's board of directors went into a total meltdown. Shareholders watched their holdings become worthless day by day, losing everything. They turned all their fury toward Yu Chenju. The board members banded together to issue an announcement calling for an emergency general meeting to oust him as CEO and hold him legally accountable for the massive losses. Yu Chenju was now truly alone, abandoned by everyone as his world crumbled. On the 4th day, the stock hit the limit down yet again. I sat in my office reading the news. Yu Chenju was being swarmed by angry shareholders at the company entrance demanding an explanation. He looked pathetic, unable to even lift his head. Just then my phone rang. It was Yu Chenju. I picked up but remained silent. His voice came through the receiver, raspy, thick with exhaustion, and carrying a hint of desperation. Shenyang, I'm begging you, stop, don't do this anymore. If you keep going, the Yu Group is truly finished. I was wrong, I was really wrong. I'll apologize to you. I'll even get on my knees. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Just let me go. Let the Yu Group go, okay? I let out a soft laugh and spoke into the phone, articulating every word. Yu Chenju, when you were smearing my name across the entire internet, trying to ruin my reputation and leave me with nowhere to turn, why didn't you think about letting me go? When you held that $3 million contract over my head to humiliate me, saying I couldn't survive without you, why didn't you think about letting me go then? I was wrong, Shenyang, I really know I was wrong now. His voice cracked, sounding like he was on the verge of tears. I shouldn't have betrayed you, I shouldn't have slandered you, and I shouldn't have done those things. I'll give you as much money as you want, I'll do anything, just please stop this, okay? No, I replied, my tone ice cold. Yu Chenju, what I want isn't your money or your apology. What I want is the Yu Group, everything you own, everything you owed me back then. I'm taking it all back. With interest. Shenyang, don't push it. His voice instantly shifted from pleading to a roar of fury. Are you really trying to drive me to my death? I'm telling you, even a cornered rabbit bites. If you push me too far, I'll do anything. At worst, we'll both go down together. Go down together. I chuckled. Yu Chenju, what leverage do you even have left to go down with me? I've already dismantled your chips one by one. Right now you're just a toothless dog, all bark and no bite. I paused before continuing. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you, I've already teamed up with several investment firms to acquire the Yu Group's circulating shares on the secondary market. Before long I will be the majority shareholder. Your time as CEO is coming to an end. Yu Chenju was shaking so hard with rage that he couldn't form a sentence. I hung up immediately and blocked his number. Setting the phone down, my assistant walked in and handed me a document. Mr. Shen, here is the progress report on our acquisition of Yu Group stock. Our holdings of circulating shares have now exceeded 5%, reaching the disclosure threshold. Several major shareholders on the board have also contacted us, expressing their willingness to transfer their shares. I flipped through the file and nodded. Excellent, keep pushing. I want controlling interest in the Yu Group within 2 weeks. The assistant nodded and left. I leaned back in my chair, staring out the window. Yu Chenju, you think this is as ruthless as it gets? No, there's something even worse waiting for you. Didn't you want to frame me and send me to prison? Fine, I'll give you an opening and let you jump into the pit yourself, a pit you'll never climb out of. And you have no idea that your next move will be the very thing that hands you a prison sentence. The Yu Group's stock price continued its downward spiral, and the board's dismissal notice had already been delivered to Yu Chenju. He was backed into a corner with no way out. I knew his character. He wouldn't just sit there and take it. He would definitely use the most sinister, underhanded tactics to strike back at me, and the only way he could think of to ruin me completely was to put me behind bars. My intangible cultural heritage workshop housed many restored ancient weapons, level 2 and level 3 national artifacts, all of immense value. He would certainly try to use those against me. Sure enough, a couple of days later, the security department of the Zhenbei Group sent word that 3 suspicious individuals had been scouting my suburban workshop. It looked like they were planning a heist. That suburban workshop was my specialized facility for storing and restoring precious ancient weaponry. Its security was the highest tier within the Zhenbei Group, crammed with surveillance, infrared alarms, and multiple top-tier bodyguards on 24-hour rotation. Forget 3 petty thieves. Even a professional heist crew couldn't take a single thing out of there. Yu Chenju didn't hire those 3 to actually steal. He wanted them to get the artifacts out so he could call the police and frame me for trafficking national relics. Trafficking level 2 national artifacts carried a sentence of over 10 years. He wanted me to rot in prison. Since he wanted to play, I was more than happy to oblige. I called the head of security and gave them instructions to pull back the visible patrols, leaving only the hidden guards and cameras. I left a gap for the 3 thieves to slip through. I wanted them to get in smoothly so I could catch them red-handed with the evidence. That night, I arrived at the workshop early with my lawyer and the police. Waiting in the surveillance room at 2:00 a.m., three shadows scaled the workshop wall. They were practiced, clearly professional thieves. They picked the lock on the basement door and slipped inside. The basement held the Song Dynasty blade I had prepared, an artifact worth tens of millions. The three of them spotted it in the display case immediately, forced it open, and stuffed the blade into a backpack. Just as they turned to leave, the basement lights flooded on. Bodyguards lying in wait lunged out, surrounding the three and pinning them to the floor. They didn't even have a chance to resist. The backpack hit the floor and the blade tumbled out. I walked into the basement, followed by the police and my lawyer. The three men, pinned to the ground, turned pale and began to tremble the moment they saw the officers. An officer knelt down, pulled out handcuffs and snapped them on, saying sternly, "We received a report of a suspected theft of national artifacts. You've been caught red-handed. Come with us to the station." The lead thief panicked immediately, shouting at the police, "Officer, it wasn't our idea to steal it. Someone paid us to do this. It was Yu Chenju, the CEO of the Yu Group. He gave us 500,000 to steal this sword and frame MS Shenyang for trafficking. It has nothing to do with us." The other two chimed in instantly, selling out Yu Chenju. They even pulled out their phones to show chat logs and transfer records, solid proof of Yu Chenju's involvement. Looking at the evidence, a cold smile played on my lips. "Yu Chenju, you wanted to frame me and send me to prison. Who would have thought you'd end up shooting yourself in the foot?" As the police led the thieves away, one officer turned to me and said, "Ms. Shin, thank you for your cooperation. We are going to summons Yu Chenju for questioning immediately." I nodded, watching them leave. The news broke the following morning. Yu Chenju was summoned by the police for inciting theft and malicious accusation. He gave his statement and now had a criminal record. Although he paid for bail and was temporarily released, the story had already gone viral. Hashtags like #Yuchenjo suspected relic theft and #Yuchenjo false accusation shot to the top of the trending lists. The internet exploded. My God, is Yu Chenju actually evil, stealing stuff just to frame someone and send them to prison? This isn't just about character anymore. This is a crime. Terrifying. I actually felt bad for him before, but now I see misery loves company for a reason. He deserves it. People like this should rot in jail. Blacklist him already. The Yu Group's board of directors couldn't sit still after seeing the news. That same day they issued an announcement suspending all of Yu Chenju's duties. The vice chairman took over as acting CEO, and an internal investigation was launched to hold Yu Chenju accountable for the damages caused to the company. Yu Chenju was completely stripped of power. He went from a high-flying CEO of a listed company to a criminal suspect with multiple charges. When a wall starts to crumble, everyone gives it a shove. He couldn't even step foot in his own company anymore. Meanwhile, I sat in my office scrolling through the news with a blank expression. This was all his own doing. Everything he had done to me was now coming back to haunt him. Just then my phone rang. It was my father's secretary, Director Shin. "The chairman asked me to inform you that the group's annual shareholders meeting has been scheduled for next week. All documents for your appointment as chairperson are ready." I paused for a moment. "Understood, thank you." I hung up and looked out the window, a smile finally reaching my lips. "Yu Chenju, you always thought I was just a craftsman with no background, someone you could manipulate and humiliate at will. Now it's time for you to learn who I really am. I want you to see exactly who you've been messing with. I want you to know that all your arrogance and all your schemes were nothing more than a clown's performance in my eyes, and that performance is about to reach its final curtain call." The Zhonbei Group's annual shareholders meeting was held at the International Convention Center. Zhonbei Group is the top private security firm in the country. Founded 30 years ago, its operations span the globe. Not only do they handle security, but they also deal in logistics, supply chain, investment, and real estate. With assets exceeding 100 billion, they are the undisputed titan of the industry. This shareholders meeting was the most significant in the company's history because the founder, my father Shin Zhonbei, was officially stepping down and his sole heir was set to take over. The entire internet was guessing who the new chairperson of Zhonbei Group would be. Financial media and reporters from across the country swarmed the entrance, broadcasting the event live. Yu Chenju was also watching the stream. Currently suspended, disgraced, and facing criminal charges, his only hope was to find a weakness in me so he could turn the tables. He thought my biggest weakness was my workshop and my status as a cultural heir. He had no idea he was about to see my true trump card. The meeting officially commenced. My father took the stage first to deliver the annual work report, met by thunderous applause. Once finished, he picked up the microphone, looked out at the audience and smiled. Today I have one more crucial announcement. I am getting older and my energy isn't what it used to be. I've decided to officially step down as chairman of Zhenbei Group starting today. Taking my place as the new chairperson will be my daughter and the sole legal heir to the Zhenbei Group, Shenyang. The moment the words left his lips, the spotlight swung toward the entrance. Dressed in a bespoke black power suit and holding a leather portfolio, I walked into the hall under the collective gaze of everyone present. I ascended the stage with measured steps. The room fell into a dead silence. Seconds later, the place erupted. The shareholders, guests, and viewers in the live stream went ballistic. Shenyang, as in the cultural heritage expert Shenyang, my God, she's Shen Zhenbei's daughter, the sole heir to the Zhenbei Group. Did I hear that right? I thought she was just a craftsman who restored ancient weapons. How did she suddenly become the chairperson of $100 billion conglomerate? Talk about a plot twist. Yu Chenju messed with the princess of Zhenbei Group. He's absolutely finished. Standing at the podium, I gripped the microphone and looked out at the sea of faces and the countless lenses aimed at me. I spoke clearly, letting every syllable land. Good morning everyone, I am Shenyang. As of today, I officially assume the position of chairperson of Zhenbei Group. Moving forward, I will lead this company with our original mission in mind, ensuring steady progress and honoring the trust of our shareholders and clients. A roar of applause filled the room, lasting for a long time. I paused before continuing. Furthermore, I have an important decision to announce. Effective immediately, Zhenbei Group is terminating all cooperation with the Yu Luxury Group. Simultaneously, we are initiating a full-scale acquisition plan for the Yu Group. The room descended into chaos once again. On the live stream, the comment section exploded. Hashtags like #Shenyang Zhenbei chairperson and #Shenyang acquires Yu Group instantly claimed the top trending spots. The entire internet was reeling. People who had insulted me only days ago were now backpedaling and apologizing in droves. Holy crap, I actually trolled the heiress of Zhenbei Group. I was wrong, I'm literally bowing to my screen right now. So Shenyang was the real boss all along. Talk about staying low-key. Heritage expert plus billionaire CEO, that's some god-tier character writing. Yu Chenju is a joke. He thought she was some poor craftsman he could push around. But she's the heir to a literal empire. In her eyes, he's just a circus act. I'm dying. Yu Chenju tried to threaten her with $3 million when her family has hundreds of billions. This is the funniest joke of the year. Meanwhile, Yu Chenju sat in his office, glued to the live stream. When I revealed my identity, the glass in his hand shattered against the floor. He slumped back into his chair, face deathly pale, body trembling in a mix of disbelief and sheer despair. He finally realized. He thought he held my life in his hands, but from the very beginning, I had been standing at a height he could never hope to reach. He smeared my name, thinking he'd ruin me while I could crash his stock price with a flick of my wrist. He tried to control me with 3 million while I could drop tens of billions to buy his entire life's work. He thought he was the superior CEO. To me, he was an ant I could crush at any moment. His ego and pride were pulverized into dust, leaving nothing behind. After the meeting, I had just stepped out of the center when my phone buzzed. It was Yu Chenju. I answered but said nothing. On the other end, his voice was broken, sobbing and filled with endless regret. Shenyang, no, Director Shen, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I was blind. I shouldn't have crossed you. I shouldn't have betrayed you. I'm on my knees. Please let me go. I'm begging you. Just let me go. I replied coldly. Now you know you were wrong. It's too late. When you were doing those things, you should have known this day would come. I know, he wailed. I'll give you the Yu Group. I'll give you everything. I just beg you, let me off this once. Don't press charges, okay? I'll be your slave. I'll do anything. No need, I said flatly. I'll take the Yu Group myself. I don't need you to give it to me. Everything you owe me, and everything you owe the law, you will pay back bit by bit. I paused. Yu Chenju, remember this. Never look down on anyone. And never bully people as you please. You never know if the person you despise is actually someone you can never afford to provoke. I hung up and blocked him. As I got into my car, my assistant looked at me, eyes sparkling with excitement. Director Shen, that was incredible. The whole internet is buzzing. Yu Chenju is officially done for. I looked out the window and nodded. Yes, he was done, but this wasn't the final act. I wanted him to see the full extent of his stupidity in his final moments, to see exactly where he lost. I wanted to crush his last shred of hope, and he had no idea that his final trump card would be the very thing that buried him even deeper. Following my appointment, the acquisition of the Yu Group proceeded with clinical efficiency. The shareholders, long since fed up with Yu Chenju, flocked to me to sell their stakes. Within a week, I held over 30%, making me the majority shareholder. The board voted unanimously for the merger. All that was left was my signature. Yu Chenju was left with less than 10%. He was effectively locked out of his own company, a man with nothing left, but I knew he wouldn't surrender. He had one last card, the one he thought would allow him to take me down with him. Sure enough, the day before the final acquisition meeting, Yu Chenju forced his way into the boardroom. He was a mess, wrinkled suit, disheveled hair, bloodshot eyes, but his gaze held a flicker of manic obsession. The directors frowned in disgust. Yu Chenju, how did you get in? You're suspended, get out. He ignored them, staring daintily at me as he slammed an encrypted USB drive onto the conference table. Shenyang, don't get too ahead of yourself. You think you've won. I'm telling you, you're not taking the Yu Group. I sat at the head of the table, expressionless. What's the play this time, Yu Chenju? The play? He laughed hysterically. This drive contains the dirt on your father, Shen Zhenbei, evidence of his arms smuggling years ago. That's how he made his fortune. That's how Zhenbei Group started. The room went silent. The directors turned to me, eyes wide with shock. Arms smuggling was a capital offense. If it were true, Zhenbei Group was finished, and my father would spend his life in a cell. Yu Chenju's smugness intensified. Stop the acquisition now. Transfer all your shares to me for free. Get on your knees and apologize, otherwise I'm handing this to the police and the media. I'll ruin your father, bankrupt your company, and you'll both rot in prison. At worst, we both go down together. He looked at me, desperate to see me crumble. He wanted me to beg. Unfortunately for him, I just smiled. It was a calm, effortless smile. Yu Chenju, this is your trump card. His smile faltered. What do you mean? Aren't you afraid? Why should I be? I gestured to my assistant to turn on the large screen. Instantly, the screen filled with documents, police closing reports, first class merit certificates from the military, and old case files. I looked him in the eye. There was an arms smuggling case back then, Yu Chenju, but the mastermind wasn't my father, it was yours, Yu Mingyuan. The room gasped. Yu Chenju turned white as a sheet, shaking his head. Liar, my father was a legitimate businessman. He'd never do that. You're lying. Am I? I pointed to the files. Look for yourself. Your father, Yu Mingyuan, conspired with foreign syndicates to smuggle weapons for profit. My father was an undercover agent working with the police. He spent a year embedded in that group to get the evidence needed to take your father's gang down. I leaned in. Your father was sentenced to life and died in prison. You always thought my father destroyed your family, so you approached me not out of love, but to find dirt to clear your father's name and take over Zhenbei Group. Yu Chenju stood there trembling, looking as if he'd been struck by lightning. He didn't expect me to know his secret, nor did he expect his dirt to be the evidence of his own father's crimes. The files on that USB are your father's crimes, not mine. If you go to the police, you'll just be proving your father was a criminal while trying to frame a decorated hero. The directors erupted in fury, shouting for the security to drag him out. He approached Director Shen for revenge. That's disgusting. His father was a smuggler and he dared to threaten us with it. His insane security guards grabbed a limp, broken Yu Chenju and dragged him toward the door. As he went, he muttered incoherently, "Impossible, I was supposed to win." The doors closed, the room fell quiet. I picked up the pen and signed the acquisition agreement. As of that moment, the Yu Group was mine. I looked out at the city skyline. Yu Chenju, you think this is the end? Not quite. I've already prepared your final resting place. After Yu Chenju was kicked out of the Yu Group, he was left with absolutely nothing. His shares had long since been liquidated due to the stock price collapse, leaving him without a penny. The houses and cars under his name were all seized by the bank to pay off his debts. While in prison, Chen Luolu confessed to all his crimes. The police now had complete evidence of his involvement in smuggling, tax evasion, false accusations and harboring fugitives. Officially issuing a warrant for his arrest, he became a stray dog, hiding and fleeing, not even daring to show his face. Everyone thought he was finished and that it was only a matter of time before he was caught by the police to rot in jail. But I knew he wouldn't accept his fate so easily. He had gone mad, driven to a dead end, and would surely do something extreme to take me down with him. My only weakness was my master of intangible cultural heritage, Old Man Zhong. He was my mentor, having taught me the restoration of ancient weapons for over a decade. He had been a father figure to me, and now in his 70s and in poor health, he was recuperating in a suburban nursing home. I had already arranged for bodyguards to stay at the nursing home 24 hours a day to ensure his safety. But I didn't expect Yu Chenju to find a loophole. That afternoon, during a group meeting, I suddenly received a call from an unknown number. I picked up and Yu Chenju's frantic voice came through. "Shenyang, you didn't expect this, did you? Your master is in my hands." My heart sank. "Yu Chenju, what do you want? I'm warning you, don't you dare lay a finger on my master or I'll make sure you regret ever being born." "What do I want?" Yu Chenju laughed maniacally. "I have nothing left because of you. If I'm suffering, you won't have it easy either. Come alone to the helipad on the top floor of the Global Financial Center. Don't bring anyone and don't call the police if you're not there in half an hour, or if you bring someone, I'll push this old man off the roof." Through the phone I heard my master's weak voice. Yang, don't come, he's crazy, don't worry about me." Then came Yu Chenju's roar. "Shut up, old man." The call was cut off. I sat in my chair, my knuckles turning white from gripping the phone. The executives around me looked anxious. "Director Shen, what should we do? Yu Chenju has lost it. We should call the police." "We can't call the police." I shook my head. "Yu Chenju is completely unhinged. Calling the police will only trigger him. If he hurts my master, the consequences will be unthinkable." I stood up and spoke to the head of security. "Arrange for elite security to lie in wait around the top floor of the Global Financial Center, but don't let Yu Chenju notice. I'll go up and stall him to find an opportunity to save him." The head of security nodded immediately. "Director Shen, it's too dangerous. You can't go up alone. We'll go with you." "No." I refused. "Yu Chenju said I have to go alone. He's a madman now. More people will only drive him to desperation." "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I had practiced the restoration of ancient weapons for over 10 years. My physical skills and close quarters combat were more than enough to handle a broken man like Yu Chenju." After making the arrangements, I drove alone to the Global Financial Center. It was the tallest building in the city center. The helipad on the top floor was hundreds of meters above the ground. A fall from there would mean certain death. I took the elevator to the top floor and pushed open the door to the helipad. The wind instantly howled around me, whipping my clothes. Near the edge of the helipad, Yu Chenju held a dagger to my master's throat. My master was tied to a chair, pale and trembling. When he saw me, tears immediately fell. Yang, why did you really come? Leave quickly." "Master." I looked at him, my voice calm. "Don't be afraid, I'm here to save you." "Shenyang, you actually came alone." Yu Chenju looked at me with a crazed laugh, his eyes bloodshot. "Throw your phone away, everything on you, throw it away now." I threw my phone and earpiece onto the ground and raised my hands. "Yu Chenju, I've done as you asked. I came alone, brought no one, and didn't call the police. Let my master go. If you have a problem, deal with me." "Deal with you?" Yu Chenju's face contorted. "Fine, get on your knees, kneel and kowtow to me 3 times, apologize, beg me to let you go, otherwise I'll push this old man off right now." The dagger in his hand pressed closer to my master's neck, breaking the skin and drawing a bead of blood. "Yu Chenju, don't be impulsive." I stared at him intensely. "I'll kneel, just let my master go first." "You're in no position to negotiate," Yu Chenju roared. "Now, immediately, get on your knees or I do it now." I looked at him and slowly began to bend my knees. Seeing me about to kneel, my master cried out, Yang, don't, I'm not worth this, just go, leave me." Just as my knees were about to touch the ground, Yu Chenju's attention was entirely focused on me and his grip on the dagger loosened slightly. Now I lunged forward like an arrow, my left hand grabbing his wrist that held the dagger while my right hand delivered a sharp strike to his elbow joint. A sickening crack of bone breaking echoed clearly. Yu Chenju let out a piercing scream as the dagger clattered to the ground and his arm hung at a grotesque angle. I followed up with a heavy kick to his chest, sending him flying backward. He skidded across the ground for several meters, nearly sliding off the helipad. I immediately turned around to untie the ropes on my master and helped him up. "Master, are you okay?" He shook his head, tears streaming down his face. "I'm fine, Yang Yang, I'm fine, I'm just glad you're okay." At that moment the hidden security team rushed in, surrounding Yu Chenju and pinning him down as handcuffs were snapped onto his wrists. Pinned to the ground, Yu Chenju stared at me with eyes full of resentment and total despair. "Shen Yang, I'm not satisfied, I should have won. Why do you always win?" I looked down at him coldly. "Yu Chenju, you didn't lose to me, you lost to your own selfishness, arrogance, and malice. You took the wrong path from the very beginning. Your fate today is your own doing, you have no one else to blame." Yu Chenju looked at me and suddenly started laughing until tears came out. Eventually fainting from the shock and pain, the guards lifted him up and took him away. I supported my master, watching his retreating figure with an expressionless face. It was all over. This man who betrayed me, hurt me, and tried to ruin me had finally received the punishment he deserved. I helped my master to the elevator. The sunlight through the glass fell on me as he squeezed my hand and whispered, "Yang Yang, you've suffered." I shook my head and smiled. It wasn't suffering. From the moment he betrayed me, I knew I had to win, not only win, but win beautifully and make him pay the ultimate price for his actions. And now I had done it. However, I didn't realize there was one final twist waiting for me, a secret I had been kept in the dark about from the very beginning. 3 months later, the National Museum of Ancient Weaponry, which I had built single-handedly, officially opened its doors at the same time. The Junbei Group's global strategy launch was held simultaneously on the museum's plaza. Numerous big names from the political and business worlds, seniors from the intangible cultural heritage industry, national media reporters, and countless supportive netizens attended, making it a vibrant and crowded event. Dressed in a modern Chinese-style gown, I stood on the stage looking at the massive crowd. I picked up the microphone and began my speech. I spoke about the significance of restoring ancient weaponry, my philosophy of heritage, the future global strategy of Junbei Group, and my determination to support intangible heritage artisans and bring Chinese culture to the world. The applause from the audience came in waves, lasting for a long time. At the end of the speech, the final court verdict was displayed on the big screen. Yu Chenju, for the crimes of smuggling, tax evasion, false accusations, harboring criminals, and kidnapping, was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Chen Luolu, for occupational embezzlement and harboring criminals, was sentenced to 8 years. The Yu Luxury Group was fully acquired by Junbei Group and restructured into a new Chinese-style luxury brand, Yangtang, focusing on the fusion of heritage culture and Chinese design to create a truly Chinese luxury brand. The applause was thunderous as the verdict played, accompanied by cheers in the live stream rooms. The comments were a blur of congratulations and blessings. "Congratulations, Director Shen, the villain finally got what he deserved. Director Shen is amazing. Not only did she crush the scumbag, but she also didn't forget to preserve heritage. Such a broad vision. I'm buying everything from Yangtang, must support Director Shen." I smiled at the crowd. "Many people have asked if I regret anything after everything I've been through. I want to say I have never regretted it. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." I also want to tell all the women out there, never depend on anyone else. You are your own greatest support. Everything you want, you must earn with your own hands. The applause erupted again, deafening. After the speech, I stepped down and my father walked up with a smile, patting my shoulder. Nan, you did a great job, I'm proud of you." I looked at him and smiled. "Dad, thank you. If you hadn't let me experience things on my own back then, I wouldn't have grown so quickly." He laughed. "Actually, I investigated Yu Chenju's identity from the moment he first approached you. I knew he was Yu Mingyuan's son and that his motives were impure." I was stunned, looking at him. He continued, "I wanted to handle him directly, but I thought my daughter couldn't always live under my protection. You needed to experience things, grow, and solve problems yourself, so I didn't interfere. I just watched you from behind and made sure you had a safety net." I suddenly understood. This was the final twist. My father knew about Yu Chenju's plot from the start but chose not to intervene to let me grow, and I, relying on my own strength, had dismantled every scheme he threw at me, achieving both my revenge and my personal growth. He looked at me and said, "Now that you can stand on your own, I'm at ease. The Junbei Group and the path of cultural heritage are yours now." I nodded, my eyes stinging slightly. After the launch event ended and the guests dispersed, I walked into the museum alone. Inside were the ancient weapons I had personally restored, each carrying history and heritage. I stood before a Song dynasty longsword, gazing at it in silence for a long time. Footsteps sounded behind me as my assistant walked over and handed me a letter. Director Shen, this is a letter from Yu Chenju. He had someone deliver it from prison. I took the letter and opened it. On the paper was Yu Chenju's messy handwriting, filled with remorse and apologies. He said he was wrong, he had been wrong from the start. He shouldn't have let hatred blind him, shouldn't have betrayed me, and shouldn't have hurt me. He said if he could start over, he hoped he could have treated me with sincerity at the very beginning, rather than approaching me with schemes and plots. He said he regretted it. After reading the letter, I casually tossed it into a nearby trash can. Regret? It's too late for that. There is no medicine for regret in this world. The things he did and the people he hurt, none of that can simply be erased as if it never happened. What he owes me, what he owes my master, and what he owes every single person he's harmed, even 20 years in prison might not be enough to settle that debt. I turned and walked out of the museum. Outside, the sun was just right, falling over me with a warm and brilliant glow. Looking at the bustling traffic in the distance and the vast, clear sky above, a faint smile played on my lips. Everything from the past has finally settled. The betrayals, the pain, and those dark days are all behind me now. I've taken my revenge, dealt with the scum, stayed true to myself, and protected my heritage. There is still a long road ahead. With my intangible cultural heritage skills and Junbei Group by my side, I will keep moving forward, one step at a time, reaching higher ground and seeing even more beautiful sights. I don't need to depend on anyone. I am my own light. I am Shen Yang, a national expert in the restoration of ancient weapons and the chairman of Junbei Group. I am the master of my own life. My peak is only just beginning.